welcome back to the Saturday Scholars College Football Podcast. That is Zan. I am Shoob, and today we are here to do our Heisman predictions for the 2024 season. Now, Zan, last year, Gonzo nailed Jayden Daniels winning the Heisman for LSU. I had Michael Penix and Jayden Daniels in my top three, just under Caleb Williams, and those guys were both invited to New York. And Zan, you also had Penix in there as well, if I'm not mistaken, and Jayden Daniels. We almost hit it on the nose last year with our Heisman predictions between the three of us. So let's see if we can do it again this year. Now, this year, a little bit differently, we're going to give the option, just like how the Heisman Trust has the option to invite 3 to 5 potential finalists. We are also going to have the option to invite 3 to 5 finalists, and we're going to rank them 1 through 3 to 5 and who we think will win and in what order. So, Zan, tell me, starting from the bottom to the top, let's do this in dramatic fashion, who you got winning the Heisman and who are your finalists?
So, I thought about it and I thought about this is mostly a quarterback award. And I thought if there is a running back in the situation here, who would it be? Maybe Ollie Gordon, maybe Omarion Hampton. But I don't expect North Carolina to have a good enough of a season for Omarion Hampton to be considered for this award. And I think Ollie Gordon will still be a good player, but I don't know. He's, his secret is out. People know who he is. People are going to prepare for him. I don't know that he's going to have the year he had last year, even though I think he'll have a good year. So, Shoob, I'm going all quarterbacks. All quarterbacks this year. At number 5, I have Avery Johnson, Kansas State.
Wow, Avery Johnson. All right.
Granted, I don't think he garners a lot of votes to really even show up, but I've got Avery Johnson there at 5. At 4, Jalen Milroe from Alabama. At 3, I have Cam Ward from Miami.
Interesting. So I noticed a trend here with dual threat quarterbacks so far.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty impactful, but this is where it gets interesting. At 2, I have Carson Beck.
That breaks the trend right there. Yeah, Carson Beck, I think he's set up for success at Georgia for sure with that roster around him. Question is, does he have that extra elite level to unlock there? But clearly, you got him up pretty high, but not taking home the actual trophy. So Zan, who's winning the Heisman?
Here. I'm taking a leap here, Shoob. This is a guy who has been around and every single year has played very well, has put up very consistent numbers. And I think his team is going to be pretty dang good this year. And I think by proxy of just his body of work for his whole career and what he's going to do this year, Dillon Gabriel is going to be our Heisman winner.
Dillon Gabriel transferring to Oregon with the Ducks in his final year of eligibility as a 5th year super senior, whatever the heck he is, wins the Heisman. I like it. I'm a big fan of this list, and I do agree with you. Your best chance here is taking quarterbacks, and I think the field is pretty wide open this year, so I like it. Dillon Gabriel actually is the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman as of right now. It's very close. It's still very wide open compared to most years, but he is the favorite by a slim margin right now. So I like that list right there. So my Heisman list, and I did the same as you. I am going all quarterbacks, and of course I'm going to pick 5 quarterbacks because this is the type of year where you're going to have probably five guys invited to New York because it's pretty wide open. And I think there's a good chance that there's going to be guys that we're not even thinking of that emerge. So my number 5 pick for the Heisman is going to be Jalen Milroe. Like you, I think Jalen Milroe will, just by virtue of being on Alabama and having Kalen DeBoer as his coach, I think that there is a step forward for him to take. And last year, he really improved as the season went on, and I do think that he will continue that improvement. And I can make the argument there's a better offensive staff around him now that will really help. And with Jalen Milroe's strength is throwing the deep ball, I think that he'll put up some pretty gaudy numbers, but I don't think he'll be quite good enough to actually win the thing. So I like Jalen Milroe there, got the name recognition of being for Alabama. My number 4 is going to be Jackson Dart of Ole Miss.
I like it.
Kind of for similar reasons. I think with Lane Kiffin as his coach and what Ole Miss, I expect them to play a pretty good season, get a lot of recognition. Jackson Dart's going to put up just numbers by default in Lane Kiffin's system. And I think that he's going to be a guy that definitely is going to earn a spot in New York, but I don't know if he has the upside to actually win it. We'll see. My number 3 it's a quarterback of a team that I'm pretty high on, and I think they're going to make some noise. I have them making the playoff and winning their conference championship. It's going to be Kyron Drones.
Oh,
Kyron
wow.
Drones. Kyron Drones is my Heisman dark horse this year. And I think that he will be on the stage in New York. You're calling it right now. Kyron Drones of Virginia Tech. He's got a breakout season.
I
Calling my
like
shot
it.
here.
I like it. I like you calling your shots here. Makes it fun.
Exactly. So my number two is your number one, Dylan Gabriel. It's kind of hard for me to believe that Dylan Gabriel won't be one of the Heisman finalists at the end of the year. If Dylan Gabriel isn't a Heisman finalist at the end of the year, then something
Because
something
because he
must have
got
went
hurt.
wrong.
Yeah, probably an injury. That's the only way.
Exactly. And with the way that Oregon's system is set up and everything, I'm thinking that he's just going to put up great numbers by default and he's going to be set up for success. I would be very surprised if he's not at the very minimum one of the top finalists at the end of the year. And my number one, Zan, it's not a guy that you had on your board.
Wow. Hmm.
It's a guy that is in his first year as his starting quarterback for his respective team. You want to take a quick guess who I'm thinking of?
I don't have any idea who you would put at one here, man.
He's a guy whose name I have a problem saying, and I think he is the goods.
Nico?
Nico Iamaleava is winning the Heisman. Calling it right
What?
here. Yep.
You didn't even have Tennessee making the playoff, man. You think he's going to win the Heisman?
I don't have Tennessee making the playoff, and that is primarily because I think that their secondary is going to take a big step back this year, and I think the defense will have some points put up on them. And we've seen this before with Jaden Daniels last year, where I think we're starting to get a little bit better now in evaluating these players to win the Heisman without just automatically putting them in if their team is really good. It shouldn't matter how good your defense is. And I think Tennessee will be a team that just puts up points in Heupel's system. I think Nico will do that. I think he has more talent and upside than Hooker and Joe Milton. So I really do think that in Heupel's system, he's going to go off. But because of Tennessee's defense holding them back, which shouldn't matter for judging Nico, I think that he will win the Heisman, but Tennessee as a team will not be in the SEC championship or the college football playoff. So
The thing is, Shu, like I agree with you that it shouldn't matter, but the Heisman voters usually pick someone who's on a, you know, pretty competitive team. Like they usually don't pick a team that, you know, is, not in this case not going to be in the playoff. So I think that's why you're kind of taking a leap here. But I mean, I think it's definitely wow, man, in his first year starting. That's interesting. I like it, Shoob. I like the guts here. Going for Nico and Kyron Drones. I really like the guts in this, and it really makes for. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Tennessee can do. But my only fear for your pick is that if they don't make the playoff, I think he's going to lose a tiebreaker to someone who is in the playoff.
and that could very well be the possibility. But I think that, again, that Heupel's system, he's going to put up points. He's going to go off. I think any quarterback in that system is set up for success, let alone if you're a five-star recruit, former five-star recruit. He's in the SEC. Tennessee is still going to be an 8-9 win team, most likely at the end of the year. And maybe they will make the playoff. Maybe he will win the Heisman and make the playoff. But either way, I like this. I like this pick here. And I think that I'm more willing to take my shots here as opposed to last year, because last year there was guys at the top like Penix, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams that just were clear cut. I mean, those were the best players in college football this year. The best players in college football are Dylan Gabriel, Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers. I mean, none of those guys are better than the four I just mentioned from last year. I think if you take Dylan Gabriel and Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers, they're the fifth, sixth, and seventh best quarterbacks in college football last year. If that. This year, it's wide open, and I think this is the type of season where there's going to be somebody that we're not expecting, or multiple people that we're not expecting, that end up either winning it or at least being a finalist. So I'm calling my shots here, man. I think this
I
is
like
one of
it.
those years.
I like it, Shoob.
So there you have it. Zan and Shoob, Saturday Scholars, official Heisman predictions.